In early January 2026, European leaders convened an emergency defense summit in Brussels. The outcome was a €500 billion joint defense fund, the largest coordinated European military commitment since World War II. This was not a symbolic gesture. It was a structural response to a new reality. Europe can no longer assume permanent American military protection. For decades, European security rested on a foundational assumption that the United States would maintain its troop presence and security guarantees across the continent. That assumption is now in question. Signals of American isolationism have grown sharper. Public statements from U.S. leadership, combined with indications of potential troop drawdowns in Europe, have fundamentally altered the strategic calculus in European capitals. Whether these signals represent policy or posture is less important than the fact that European governments are now planning for scenarios where U.S. support is reduced or conditioned. Troop drawdowns don't just mean fewer soldiers. They imply a shift in strategic priorities, a rebalancing of American focus toward other theaters, or a broader withdrawal from forward defense commitments. For Europe, this creates a security gap that must be filled domestically. The emergency summit was convened under the Weimar Triangle, a trilateral framework linking France, Germany, and Poland. While not a formal alliance structure, the triangle carries significant weight. France brings nuclear capability and operational military experience. Germany provides Europe's largest economy and industrial base. Poland offers frontline geography, recent defense modernization, and acute awareness of Eastern security threats. Together, these three countries represent Europe's political, economic, and strategic core. Their alignment signals a credible foundation for coordinated European defense, something that has eluded the continent for decades. The fund is designed to address Europe's most critical military gaps: readiness, procurement, and industrial capacity. Joint procurement allows European nations to pool resources and negotiate at scale, reducing redundancy and lowering costs. This is not just about buying more equipment, it's about building a sustainable defense industrial base that can operate independently of American supply chains. The fund also supports rapid deployment capabilities, logistics infrastructure, and ammunition stockpiles, areas where Europe has been chronically underprepared. The goal is not to match U.S. military capacity, but to ensure Europe can defend its own borders and respond to crises without waiting for transatlantic reinforcement. The policy shift is being matched by domestic changes. Germany, historically cautious on defense expansion, is now debating renewed conscription. This reflects a broader recalibration of threat perception and national responsibility. European arms manufacturing is expanding. Factories that were downsized after the Cold War are being retooled. Governments are signing long-term contracts with domestic producers, prioritizing supply security over cost efficiency. Public opinion is shifting as well. Polls across France, Germany, and Poland show increased support for defense spending, a significant change from the post-Cold War consensus that favored demilitarization and social investment over security expenditure. How Moscow interprets a more militarily independent Europe is uncertain. On one hand, a Europe less reliant on the United States could be seen as strategically weaker or more fragmented. On the other, a Europe with greater military autonomy and coordination could represent a more credible deterrent. The logic of deterrence depends on capability and resolve. If Europe demonstrates both, it complicates Russian planning. If the transition appears fragmented or slow, it may invite testing. This is not a prediction. It's a recognition that strategic uncertainty cuts both ways. The January 2026 Brussels summit represents more than a funding announcement. It marks the end of Europe's post-World War II security dependency and the beginning of a new era of military autonomy. Whether this transition strengthens European security or introduces new risks will depend on execution, cohesion, and the broader geopolitical environment. What is clear is that the assumptions governing transatlantic defense for the past 70 years no longer hold, and Europe is preparing accordingly,